Welcome back to Speak Pact. We are thrilled that you're here with us today. We're going to dive into the world of how, other areas where speaking is powerful in your life and career. Whether or not you're looking for those keynote checks, there are just so many layers to the power of speaking. And I have an expert on that subject today, Diana Lidstone. Welcome to the stage, Diana.
Hey, thanks for having me. So thrilled to be here.
Yeah, well, we're going to really dive deep, and I think we're going to have a lot of fun. I'll tell the audience a little bit about you. Diana Lidstone is a business strategist and the founder of CEO Freedom Academy. Basically, she helps CEOs not become slaves to their own companies. I think that's very, very important. I think sometimes we create monsters for ourselves, and it can be amazing work, but we can burn out. So I love that you do that. You basically really focus in on accountants, lawyers, coaches, consultants, escape entrepreneurial poverty. I love the way that you say that. Again, poverty can come in a lot of different forms. Maybe you're making some good money, but you're not getting that family time or that you time that you need, and things are out of balance. So that's a form of poverty as well, and it's important for us to get that right. You help them build profitable self-running businesses.
Right. So another term would be operational independence. How do you like
Ooh.
that? Ooh.
But I see what you're saying. Like, we have the expertise, but it doesn't need to be just us. Why don't we allow somebody else to expand themselves? And when we take it all on ourselves, we are the operations. That's a very dangerous place to be, right? Because
It is. It makes the business very fragile, and it provides. It's a bit of a trap, right? Because you can only grow to a certain level. And when everything depends on the founder, like many of us are founders, if it depends on us for all the decisions, every single thing, then we become the bottleneck. And as I call it, we become the chief everything officer, which is not really a CEO.
not what you want to be.
No.
No, I love that. I also saw that you were Businesswoman of the Year. That's not in your bio. I hope I'm getting that right, but that's a pretty incredible. Go ahead.
Thank you. Actually, I was a finalist, so kudos to the woman who won. But I was one of three finalists. It was truly an honor to be nominated and then get to that level of being a finalist. So yes, thank you.
Right. Yeah. That's huge out of tens of thousands of women out there.
Mhm.
And I don't know if it was, yeah, just in North America or throughout the world, but it still is a pretty incredible feat. So you're doing something right, Diana. So
Thank you.
what I'd like to dive in with you today, because you've really seemed to master this, and that is building authority through strategic speaking.
Right.
I think that sometimes we see speaking as a paycheck, which it is. It's a very nice paycheck, but there are so many other forms of currency through the power of speaking. So let's dive into that. You also do you train your clients about smart positioning to replace the hustle, shorten sales cycles, and rebuild trust in a skeptical AI saturated market. Spot on. Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. I think, one of the things is in today's, all we have to do is look through the feed of social media and you go, is that really true? Like, you know, was it the Golden Globes that were on? And you go, all that feed, you go, I'm not sure that was even true. So
Right.
speaking, especially when it's raw and real, like we're doing today, um, can really develop with your potential clients, with your prospects, that level of trust. Oh, she is a real person. She's just not putting on airs. She's not having a clone of herself speak or, whatever it is. So, yeah.
And I really believe that as AI grows, I think there's a fear, Right, but I think it's really gonna be the opposite. As AI grows and it is more difficult to discern what's
Mhm.
authentic, what's real, and what's
Yes,
automated, people are gonna crave it even more. They're gonna crave
exactly.
those
Yeah.
person-to-person experiences.
And I think we're seeing a shift in, um, yes, there's the benefits of doing things remotely and virtually like this, but I do see the cravings of entrepreneurs for the small, intimate settings where, as an expert, you can position yourself and be the speaker and really position yourself as that expert.
You know, you touched on something really important because 'cause I'm seeing this just as bright as day. There's not even kind of, right? It's absolutely. And it's a shift in these organizers, event organizers and or corporate decision makers who bring in corporate trainers. There's a shift. Whereas they kind of wanted to see your program outline and what you're going to talk about, maybe even see your PowerPoint. We're not even really seeing requests for that anymore. What they're looking for are experiences and usually multi-layered experiences. So it's more like a proposal of a body of experiences that they can bring either their audience or their organization
Yeah.
where they get the information because we can get the information.
I was just going to say that. I was just going to say, information. There was a time when speaking was about sharing information, but that time is long gone. I mean, we've got Google, we've got ChatGPT or whatever other AI. You can get all the information. But speaking really is about a transference of emotion. It's a transformation. Can you give them some type of transformation?
Yes, you're spot on, and we are seeing that in dollars and cents too. These organizations are willing to invest for that, not so much for that kind of rote program uh,
Yeah.
anymore because
Yeah, I think there's a difference between being a trainer and being a speaker. Um, they kind of overlap, but I do see them as different things. I also see that strategic speaking. So I think one of the big mistakes I know I made when I started speaking was I wanted to teach the audience everything I knew in that if it was a day they spent with me, an hour they spent with me, whatever. And then they left feeling, oh my God, yes, she knows so many things, but they're overwhelmed. I got to go home and do all this stuff. And so there was a lack of them purchasing from me.
yeah.
Strategic speaking, you need to make them aware they have a problem and that you're the solution, but hinting at the solution, I guess. You still have to give value, but you don't have to give them. Somebody explained it to me once that it's about giving them the what, but not the how.
You hit on something so important. I see this so many times, right? If you are a speaker, you care about helping people.
Of
So,
course.
so many speakers do exactly what you did. They want to give it all because they need it all. But an overloaded mind is going to freeze and they're
Right.
not going to, people will not remember what you said in the best of circumstances. They may remember a line or two, but they're not going to remember what you said. They're going to remember the transformation you made in their lives. They're going to, first of all, remember how you made them feel. But
Yeah.
this next step is how that feeling, that inspiration, that one micro transformation has affected their lives, and they will never forget you. And
Yeah.
then they'll go for that deeper work, right? And that's the multi-layered transformation experiences I was talking about.
For sure. For sure.
You mentioned that you believe that speaking is more powerful even than social media. Can you kind of touch on that a bit?
Sure. Um, and this goes back to an aha that I had after working with a lawyer. And I encouraged her to go out and do more speaking. She wasn't a polished speaker, but every time she went out to speak and said, if you want to know more, book a call with me, her business grew exponentially. And
Mhm.
so she just kept going out, and she had no social media at all. And so it really highlighted, I guess, if I can say that, that so many people say, just get out there on social media, just get out there on social media, post every day, blah, 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 blah. I don't, first of all, social media isn't a marketing plan. It could be part of it, but I really believe that being on a stage where you leverage your time one to many, you leverage your time also in the fact that your audience, your hopefully you pick the right audiences, and sometimes that takes a little bit of work. But yes, if you can pick the right audience and you're leveraging your time, you're going to get more ROI than you will spending your time on social media. So one good signature talk out there that you can use over and over again will do you better, I believe, than social media. And that's perhaps a little controversial, but that's okay.
Actually, it touches back onto what you said initially. People are they're not sure what's real, what's authentic,
Mhm.
and what's just either AI generated or a put on, right? Everyone, I don't care who you are, your best face for the most part is put forward on Facebook or whatever other platform, right? The best, the great, the
Well,
fun experiences, all the
except for when I did my last week, you mentioned that you saw me, and I did a Facebook Live at a scout camp dining hall because I'd been kicked out of my home for a number of reasons, and I had to find it because I tell my audience that I'm going to go live every Wednesday at noon. And so here I was, all these scouting chants and totem poles and different things behind me, but that's real.
it was real, it was
Yeah,
authentic.
yeah.
And people buy what they trust, whether they're
Mhm.
buying into you and your message and your methodologies, or they're maybe buying a consulting package. People will always gravitate towards buying what they trust. So you can
Exactly.
have everything perfect, but at the end of the day, do they trust you? And you'll see this even in the deep pockets, in the ads of the deeper pockets, where they can get the most polished, perfect, prettied up ad. And if you notice, they're really starting to look like they're snapped on a telephone, or, they're in a background that might be a little noisier. It's not a controlled background. It's because they know this. All the marketing dollars in the world are saying people are looking for real, raw, and what's true.
Yeah.
And that is, you can't hide when you're on stage, right? It's who you are is going to come through, especially if you're being authentic and you're not kind of following a script. I always say follow bullet points, follow an outline, but do not follow a script, because you
No.
need to be able to play off of the room and the stories that relate to those people. You don't want to veer too much off of your core content, but if you're scripting it, it just feels dead, right? They really don't believe that you understand them and their problems, and that you care about them. So in your approach, getting in front of them, going through the trouble of getting in front of them, um, is what's going to get you those high value clients. So let me ask you this, because I know there's very many speakers out there. It's like, I'm not going to speak for free. Um, I have my ideas about that, but if you know it's the right fit audience, what is your comment on that?
Probably much like yours. I'll speak for free any day over being paid a speaker fee. Now, let's clarify. Number one, This is strategic speaking. This is about sending them to a call with me. What am I going to sell on the back end? Right? As opposed to a keynote that, may pay you, I don't know, 5, 10, 50. I'm not an Olympic medal winner. I am not somebody like
Climbed Mount Everest.
a guru of some type or whatever. Those, or a US senator or a president, whatever it happens to be. That's a little different, I think. And for the majority of people who want to get into speaking, I mean, both in the US and Canada and globally, there are speakers associations. And the trend has been for a number of years to speak for free and sell on, if you will, the back end.
The audience will always outpay the host, always. Even if you're getting that $25,000 host check, that audience done right, like you said, done strategically, will always outpay the host. So what are some of the ways you check that out ahead of time, Diana? How do you know your right fit people are going to be in the audience and it's going to be worth your while if you're not getting those bigger checks?
I think it's important to, again, this comes from experience. Or it's like being on a podcast too, right? You have to ask a number of questions. Who are the listeners going to be? Who's in the audience? Are they, so I'll give you an example. I recently been asked to speak at a small networking event in Ottawa, capital of Canada, here where I live. And it's probably 20, 25 people at this event. And it's a Jewish entrepreneurs networking event. So I know, number one, they're all entrepreneurs. They all have their own businesses. I have no idea exactly what kinds of businesses they are, but I will ask how many are service-based, how many are product-based, how many have storefronts. I'll ask the organizer all kinds of questions about the audience so that I can go prepared. And if that audience is not, if these are all, for instance, if these are all newbie entrepreneurs, because I don't work typically with newbie entrepreneurs, I work with seasoned business founders. If these are all newbies, I'll go, maybe that's not the right place for me to be speaking and spending my time so that I can get the best ROI, return on investment, for my time speaking. So I think it's really, really important. You need to know who you're speaking to, but you also need to know the problem that your ideal client has and what is your solution. So we talked a little bit at the beginning. My ideal client is a seasoned founder, business founder, typically a woman, because small micro businesses are most often owned by women. And they have found themselves to be in this place of entrepreneurial, I'll call it poverty, where they are the chief everything officer. Their business is sucking the lifetime and money out of them. That's not where they want to be. I'm really clear and specific about who my audience is. And I think so many people, unfortunately, and especially speakers, when they're getting into that rhythm and momentum, yes, there are a lot of professional speakers and they know exactly who their audience is. And they will say no quicker than they will probably say yes. But as we are growing our speaking, what would I call it?
Prowess.
Yeah. We have to really figure that out, and we have to really be clear. It's just like anything else in our business. If we're posting on social media, we need to be clear who we're talking to.
That really separates who the newbie is and who the seasoned person is. Because at first you're collecting data even on
Of course.
yourself.
Yeah.
You're speaking, you don't really maybe even have a clear idea of who your best fit audience is quite yet. I hope you go in doing some work with someone who can kind of lead you, right? There's steps ahead of you that they can lead you in that, so you're not wasting a whole
Mhm.
lot of time, energy, and even money. But at the end of the day, it's the audience wins. And if you are the type of speaker or corporate trainer who's just going to kind of throw pasta at a wall and see what sticks, you are going to be that exact person that you help dig out, right, of this world they
Yeah.
create for themselves. You're going to be burnt out. You are going to feel like speaking for free is a waste of time, because the way you're doing it is.
Yeah.
And you may leave the profession altogether, sadly. But just a little bit of strategy on the back end. That's why in any business, if you're serious, you hire someone who's seasoned, so that you don't make the same mistakes. You don't circle the mountain before you get it. There's just so much value in that. It's just astounding to me. It's
Yeah.
probably because of AI and all the information at our fingertips. We talked about information versus lived experience. They just think I'll get this, through whatever I can find online, and they don't hire a professional to help them get on that track right up front, whether they're a founder of a company or a speaker or a corporate trainer.
Yeah.
It's all the same. I love that you're doing what you're doing, and you're making yourself available and visible, findable. Speaking helps you become findable. So you
It
can have
does.
you get the greatest solutions, but if nobody can find you, it's when they need you, right? That's not going to get you very far as well.
I think you've touched on, a couple of things. Number one was, having a coach, a mentor, someone to show you the way. And, I've been an entrepreneur for more than 40 years. I have almost always had a coach. I still. I just recently reached out to a speaking coach that I've worked with. He helped because I'm creating some new programs. I wanted help creating a new signature talk. And was that investment worth it? 20 times over.
Yeah. That's
So
a smart businesswoman that understands that you invest in your own success, whether you're your own founder, or you're even when you're working for somebody else. That's what really separates those people who are just going to spin their wheels and get really burnt out, and those who are going to, because I love that you said that, every new level that you progress to, you evolve to, everything else is evolving with you. So there should always be someone who is steps ahead, guiding you
yeah.
at every new milestone.
Yeah, I recently saw something on YouTube. I was following a guru, and he said at every level of business growth, there are skills you need to learn, new skills you need to learn, and skills you need to unlearn.
Mm-hmm.
And I thought that was a really great perspective, because it doesn't matter how long you're in business, you're always, if, unless you want to stay stuck. But most entrepreneurs are not satisfied with staying in one place all at once. So,
So you talk about strategic. I love that. As you talk about strategic speaking, what are there core tenets that separate an inspirational, motivational, feel good kind of speaker who gets pats on the back and handshakes after, but it really doesn't become real and lasting profit or momentum? What separates that speaker who talks and inspires and great, gets their keynote check, but like you said, it's just that's kind of
yeah, or
that's
they
where it
get the
ends.
applause, they get the, oh, that's such a great talk. I really enjoyed it. But did it turn into, let's be real, dollar signs?
Right. And
And
other opportunities, right?
yeah,
Which
and
is
other
really
opportunities, which are other dollars, right? And I think, again, it comes back to knowing, your signature talk. I'll say a signature talk. We'll start there. But a signature talk is geared to a specific audience to address their problem and your solution. So, for instance, I will often do a talk that's something like, reclaim 10 hours a week, 10 hours or more a week, and double your revenue. Now, I can take that talk and I can focus more on saving time, but it's not really about saving time. It's really about focusing on, anyway, I don't need to get into that. But what I want, because that wasn't your question. Your question is, what was the difference? And the difference goes back to, really, if you think about the old marketing gurus who talked about the 6 P's of marketing. Okay. So the people, the price, the package, the promotion, the 6 P's, the basic 6 P's. And I am always astounded at how many people don't have those dialed in. You need to have those 6 P's dialed in order to be able to, in your speaking, quote unquote, sell them on your solution. Even if you are just giving them selling. So some places say that you can't sell, right? Some organizers will say there's no selling from the stage. Well, we know that means they don't want you, throwing bonuses and everything, so you get people rushing to the back. But selling could be something as simple as a checklist that they're going to download. It could be booking a free call with you. It could be a number of things. But what is the end result that you want them to do? Start with the end in mind and work backwards.
By the way, we're getting a bunch of those love and like bubbles. So there's a good number of people who are with us live. Thank you for being with us live. This is the raw, uncut version. If you wait for the post-production version, sometimes you miss some of these insights because we take them out. So thank you for being here with us live. You said so much goodness there. And even the direction you said you were going that you felt like might not be on track. I feel like it was very on track. So for speakers and corporate trainers as well, getting the right kind of support does reclaim your time so that you can do what you're meant to do and make more money, right?
Mhm.
When you're the type of founder that you're talking about, whether you're a founder for a clothing shop or a founder for a corporate training career, if you're wearing all the hats, you are your own worst employee if you're trying to do that.
As somebody once told me, we didn't start our businesses to be the busiest and most underpaid employee.
Right. A lot of business owners are lucky because they get to pick what 80 hours a week they work.
Yeah.
It should not be that way. It should
Been
not
there,
be
done
that
that. In my past, I had been a retail store owner. I know what it's like to work multiple hours and not be home for your kids, whatever it happens to be, family dinners, etc. So yeah, been there, done that.
Cut a check for speed and cut a check to cut out a lot of the missteps that are very costly, right? If you're going to be serious about a career in any area, serious business owners like yourself understand the value of investing in whether it's consultants or services, whatever it might be. I run across speakers of all kinds, those who are like, nope, I want commission-based help only. Like, oh, you're going to be sitting on the bench a lot. You're going to be sitting, waiting and wishing and hoping a whole lot. That's not a serious business. Right? If I wanted to start a gas station, I wouldn't tell the bank, you make that you take all the risks, you build everything, and I'll give you a percentage as I get my sales coming in, right? The mentality, I don't know how in the speaker space, that mentality is so prevalent. And I think it's because these agencies who have that model, but what they don't understand is that agency is not going to be out there doing the outbound, doing the heavy lifting for you to the level that a serious business owner needs if you're going to have that income certainty on your calendar every single month, that consistency. So let's talk about that. There
Yes.
are different reasons why we speak. Some
Yep.
speak just because they want to be a speaker, and there's nothing wrong with that. That's great.
Yep.
Some people speak though because they see the value and the strength of the kind of quality and volume of high value clients that they can bring into their service based or even product based businesses through the power of speaking. So how can service professionals use speaking as a revenue growth engine without maybe they don't want to become a professional speaker. So it's just let's talk about
Well,
the difference between that.
sure, sure. So a revenue growth engine is simply how you attract, nurture, and convert your premium clients. As simple as that. There are other ways that you can do that. There's SEO. So SEO, search engine optimization. Today, it's more about AI driven search and how can you use that on your website, et cetera, et cetera. But I think one of the things that I talk about is what I call OPAs, other people's audiences. Like
Mm-hmm.
I'm doing today. I am speaking here, and it is your audience that is getting my word out and about. So other people's audiences could be podcast guesting, could be speaking at networking events, chamber events, any of those events. It doesn't have to be, the big conferences or standing on stages of, hundreds or thousands. Yes, I've done that, but still, I find my love is number one, speaking consistently and speaking it to smaller audiences.
Mm-hmm.
And I think one of the things that many of us as business owners and as speakers are afraid of is we're afraid that we say the same thing over and over and over again. So we have a message that we want to get out there. And like mine, save 10 plus hours a week and double your revenue. I say that over and over and over again, and I get bored saying that. But you have to remember, you have a different audience that's listening to you every single time. It's probably the first time they've heard that. Maybe it's the second, and that's okay because they're going to take more out of it the second or even the third time.
Yeah.
So never be afraid of saying the same message over and over and over again.
I think you could actually alienate and disappoint your audience if you change it up too much every time.
For sure.
People are they want to know what to expect. We go back to our favorite restaurant for our favorite dish within that restaurant. If they change it up too much, you're like, what did you do to what did you do? It was
Well,
perfect.
again,
Right?
it's about building your reputation. That restaurant has built its reputation on maybe a signature dish or a signature type of dish. And as entrepreneurs, we have a signature message that we want to get out there. And the more we can say that over and over again, I think the better it is for us.
This is a really good point that you bring up. I believe, especially the newer speakers, believe that they need to have 3 or 5 talks down pat. I absolutely do not believe that. I do believe what you said. Have a signature talk, then do your homework. Have a story bank. Have a bank of stories you can draw from that appeal to different kinds of audiences. That's what changes, not the core, the meat,
Exactly.
the accompaniments. That's what changes because
Yeah.
people are coming for the transformation they got from you last year at some conference. That's why they want that again. They want the reminder. They want what they missed. They want that. And if you switch it all up, they're like, oh, but I feel like I missed out on, I didn't fully get it. It's just this whole mental disappointment that happens.
Yeah.
However, if you deliver that same exact talk with fresh stories, with
Mhm.
fresh anecdotes, with maybe even some fresh exercises, right, that go along
Yeah,
with that,
exactly.
that's what they came for.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. I did my signature talk last year to a group of rather newbie bookkeepers. Um, Not quite my ideal audience, but there was a return on investment. I have delivered it to audiences of 400 or more real estate investors. I've delivered that same, multiple times. But like you said, different stories, different exercises that allow that signature talk to focus in on who's in the audience at the time. The other thing I want to say is that a signature talk used to be, or a keynote used to be what, an hour, 45 minutes. Today, what do they want? They want 20 minutes.
15, 20. I just spoke with a speaker today that she's like, they
Exactly.
made me to put my hour-long talk in 15 minutes.
Yeah, exactly. And it is, for those of us who kind of have the gift of the gab, it's easier for us to do an hour long, but it's much more difficult to condense it to 20 minutes and still get that transformational impact.
Yeah, there's I'm probably going to say the wrong person. Mark Twain, I don't know who it was, said, if I had more time, I'd write a
Yes,
shorter letter. I would have
yes,
written a shorter letter.
yeah,
That means you're dialed in, you're tuned in to not only your own talk, but to that outcome that your audience came for. Give them one micro transformation, don't give them 5, because they need to remember what they walked away from directly related to you that made a difference. And oh my goodness, if I listen to you for 15 minutes or even 60 minutes and I can walk away with a change, how much more so if I got to actually lock arms with you and work with you on a deeper level.
yeah.
You talked about AI and SEO, and it's really interesting that you talked about. We get a lot of requests, of course, for AI corporate trainers. And I was speaking with one earlier today, and
Mhm.
she's just this very big AI techie person. And she said, what people don't understand, they feel like they're going to dump SEO to now focus in on AI. That's a mistake. She like your friend. She does. She has no real social media, nothing significant. Really, what drives her, and she is a prolific speaker, and she's a high value speaker. So, and those positions are very hard to get. There's a lot of competition at the 20,000 and above level, and she's above that. But she said that most of her traffic comes from being in the right room. So people want to bring her into their organization to talk again. So that referral based marketing. And
Yeah,
that's amazing. Those referral relationships and even sponsorship relationships are very, very solid.
sure.
But she said where she mostly gets her new engagements are through her website. And she says she doubles down on SEO even though she's an AI expert, because all AI, the foundation underneath it is SEO. I didn't go verify this. I'm not the expert in this.
Me neither. Me
She
neither.
is.
I'm
But it
embracing
was
AI. I'm not an expert at it, but um, certainly there's many ways to improve your searchability. But then again, it comes back to who is your audience, what is the problem they have, and what's your solution? Because those have to be consistent, whether it's SEO or AI driven search.
yeah, you need to be findable at
Yeah.
the time that you need to be findable, and you can never predict what that is. So always be easy to find. And there's a whole strategic, which we don't have time to go into here, but it's a combination of things. There's a strategy behind being the one who's found at the time that you're needed. So I know at this stage of the show, there are plenty of people out there who wonder, how can I find this Diana Lidstone? So, Diana, how do you like to be found?
Um, it's pretty easy. See my name down at the bottom. That's my website. www.dianalidstone.com. And on my website, in the top right-hand corner, there is a button that says schedule a call. And that's the easiest way to find
Pretty
it. Well,
straightforward. Make it
pretty
easy.
forward. You'll find me on social media. You'll find me on LinkedIn. You'll find me on Facebook as well. And, but yeah, through my website is probably the best way.
So, I have a lot of listeners who just listen in. They're jogging or what have you. It's Diana, Diana, Diana Lidstone, lid like the lid to your coffee pot,
Pot?
or whatever.
Yeah.
Stone.
Yeah.
So Lidstone, very straightforward. So DianaLidstone.com. By the way, for all those speakers out there, if you have not gotten yourname.com, get it. Even if you don't think that you're going to utilize it quite yet, you really should always. Now, my name, Antoniette, is not an easy spell, but I still have it. The one day, it might be. There's actually another Antoniette out there who got Antoniette.com. It was funny, but it's important.
That was one of the first pieces of advice that I got when I started coaching was get your name.com. Yeah.
Well, I love the way that you train your founders to leverage speaking, whether they feel like they're okay, this is another thing, and then we'll go to my signature question.
That's okay.
I think that some people think that they have to be this dynamic, naturally charismatic, polished speaker. That is kind of the opposite of what the market is looking for. Scrappy is the new perfect. Authentic is king. Authenticity is king. That's what they're looking for. If you're bringing a transformation, if you're bringing a solution, that's what they're looking for. So you can learn the craft of it, but nobody can really replace your lived experiences and what you're going to bring to that table that maybe approach that isn't going to be found somewhere else. So you focus your I wonder how much pushback you get from your clients, but to leverage
a lot, a lot. So I'll just, I had this lawyer. I've had financial advisors. I currently have a bookkeeper, and I'm telling her she needs to be out there speaking, and she's going, but, and you could see her pulling back like this, and one of the first things that I was taught by my speaking coach was to go to Toastmasters for a year. 1 year. Now, Toastmasters is around the world. It's inexpensive.
It's an incredible organization.
What it does do, it gets you over the fear of standing up there and speaking and possibly making mistakes. But it's a great place to start.
It really, it's interesting that you brought that up, because that is very well seasoned, almost household name speaker not long ago that I interviewed. And he said that he felt like he had kind of gotten to a plateau, that he wanted to kind of break through. And he actually joined Toastmasters, which feels like a beginner's move. And he's well beyond that. But he was getting a lot out of it. He was actually finding out more about himself. And when you help other people, when you're in settings like that, and it's a mixed setting, you're more advanced, somebody else is more beginner, you tend to just give them information. You actually learn when you teach as well.
Exactly.
Getting back to the basics is super important for anyone.
Yeah.
Good advice. Okay. My signature question, Diana, at the end, and that is to ask you to give the audience a challenge, an actionable thing that they can go out and do so that they can put some of these principles that you brought to the table today into action, and it becomes something, right? It doesn't just become, again, the nice talk that they got to listen to. If they put this thing in action, that it can actually transform some area of their business or their life. So what would that be?
So what would that be? So I would guess that there's nobody that was listening today who doesn't want to grow their business. I'll make that assumption. Okay. So we all need a growth engine. Remember, and I said that was about attracting, nurturing, and converting our ideal or our premium client. So my challenge is to ask the listeners, what is the one problem you solve? What is that solution? And who is it specifically for? And I don't mean a woman who's 45 and who lives in the country and drives a BMW. No. What kind of business does that person have? Where do they shop? What's their revenue? What is that one problem that is utmost? And you can even go to ChatGPT. I'll say ChatGPT, but you can go to any AI agent like that, and you can start playing with it. And if you look at your top 20% of your clients and say, okay, Chat, here's the top 20% of my clients. They have these characteristics in common. Now, what is their top 3 challenges that they want solved, and how do I solve them? And then if you've got top 3, then narrow it down to the 1. And AI can help you do this in a much, perhaps, faster way. It can also do deep research for you on your industry, for example. So that's my challenge.
It's a very important one. Thank you for that challenge. It hits on what you said it hits on, and it also hits on so many other levels. Number one, we especially as we grow as a speaker, we sometimes get out of touch with what their problems are now. We're still speaking to what the problems were 2 years ago. And there's a lot going on in our world. There's a lot going on in the mood of families and so many different dynamics. What's keeping them awake at night right now? That's a brilliant use of AI. That's a brilliant, not scripting your talk, but giving you those bullet points. That's brilliant. Another thing that it does is it really gives you a clear picture of who you're working with. And I think you said this, I'm going to piggyback on it. Those clients that you've had that you wish you could have 100 more of, that they were the perfect pupils, right? They were the perfect people to work with.
You got great results with them. They're happy to pay you, all those good things, right?
And you can clearly see their face. I would actually put their details, not their personal details, but their details in that AI. But even further than that, I would cut out a picture that looks very much like them. I wouldn't cut out their picture because I don't know if they come around and you have their picture on there. That might be a little weird. But that face, that person, you can help. This cuts out nerves. Also, if you know that one person, not a whole room full, not a room full of 500 people, that one person you can bring a transformation to. And when you're on a big stage, the nerves go away. Because when you're with that client and you're bringing them transformation.
Because you're speaking to that one person. So my one person is Sarah 3.0. 3.0 because she's evolved. Right. But I speak to Sarah. That's who I speak to.
That's the face you see in the audience, and it's easy to make contact. It's easy to get over the nerves, but it's also keeps you on point, keeps you on track. What is Sarah feeling right now? She's 3.0, right? New levels, new devils. What kind of pressures is she going through?
Exactly.
It's just brilliant. This was jam-packed with insights that are, number one, actionable, and number two, pretty vital. Like they're not nice haves. They're necessary.
Must-haves. Exactly. Thank you so much. It's been so much fun.
Thank you, Diana. Thank you for bringing your beautifully earned wisdom to our incredible Speak Tech audience.
Thank you.
And to the Speak Packed audience, I know you got value. If you've listened to this, you couldn't have not. So why don't you be the generous spirit that I know that you are and post it forward, or at least give a review, a like, a comment to help the algorithms find us and get this message out to even more people. That's extremely valuable. It's a simple 2-second ask and it makes a big, big difference. So those are the flowers that you can give Diana and I today. Ciao, ciao for now.